natural state of dispersal, which basically means that you want to wait until the seed is ripe and viable and ready to be let go. You should never be having to tug on them really hard or like force them off of the plant. So here's an example, Silastra cooperi. If you look, it's pretty much done flowering. The petals are starting to get pretty crispy, so that's a good sign when you're watching the flowering phenology. The petals are crispy, they might start to fall off. The centers, the disc flowers, are getting kind of brown and they're like closed up and drying out. So this is a good sign to start checking your flowers. So let's see how easily the seed comes off. So maybe that one's not quite ready. So maybe that it needs a little more time. You don't want to have to force them off. So it looks like these ones actually need a little more time. Let's go see if we can find some that are ready. The paper flower wasn't quite ready to collect. I couldn't find any seeds that were ripe enough. They didn't fall out easily when I pulled on them, and when I did force the seeds out, they still looked kind of green. So that showed me that they're not ripe. So here we have a Perry's penstemon, beautiful, beautiful pink flowers. And let's see if it has any seed ready to collect. So here you can kind of see the little seed pods. They're still super green. When these are ready, they will open right along the top there on the pointy part. They will crack open along the seams into maybe 4 different parts, and the seeds will be inside. And that only happens when this flowering stalk completely loses its color, turns brown and crispy, and then when the pods open, the seed is ready to be dispersed. So here we have Dahlia pulchra, or the Santa Catalina prairie clover, and let's see if it's ready for us to collect. If you look in close at the flower here, it still has these little flowers. See these purple petals? It's not super dry, it hasn't lost its color, and if we try to pull on it, nothing comes off very easily. So it's not ready. Here we have fairy duster, or Caliandra areophylla, and let's see if it's in its natural state of dispersal. It looks like it's pretty much done flowering. These are starting to dry and shrivel up a little bit, but the seed pods, they still have this very green section in the middle, and they actually feel a little bit pliable and soft. When these are at their natural state of dispersal, they will completely dry out and turn brown, and then when they're ready, they will split along the seams on the side here, and all the seeds will fly everywhere. Here we have the Mexican golden poppy, or Eschscholzia californica variety mexicana, and this is one of the quintessential low Sonoran Desert spring wildflowers that is just so beautiful. And the way that this seed pod works, if you want to come in close here, you see these very long, narrow pods that the plant forms when it's done flowering. And right now they're green and they're still kind of pliable, so the seed is not totally ripe yet. But when they are ripe, they get totally brown, they dry out, get very crispy, and the seed pod splits right in half. So it's 2 long pieces pop open, and all the seeds go flying everywhere, and it actually makes a sound. It's almost like, is that where the plant gets its name, poppy? It makes this popping sound, and the seeds fly everywhere, which is called shattering. But it looks like none of these are quite ready. Oh, maybe this one? So this one is not ready totally because it hasn't split, but you can see that the seeds are dark. So these will be all ready in about a week. Here we have Barcleanthus salicifolius, Willow Ragwort, down here in this little riparian area. This is just kind of starting to finish up flowering. The flowers are closing up and kind of browning at the top. But this one actually flowered way back in February and early March, and so it's really going to seed. Here is a section where you can see it's really dry and crispy, and the little fluffy pappus of these seeds in the sunflower family are starting to fluff out and get ready to fly away. So this one is at its natural state of dispersal. And what we would do is just pull them off very easily, and you can kind of see the seeds there. It's a little bit difficult to see which parts are the seeds, but if you see those dark dots there, that's actually the seed, or a keen, at the end of the pappus. Usually when it's dark, it means it's ready. Not all species have seeds that are dark, but oftentimes that's the case. This is giant Sagatone, or Sporobolus wrightii. This is in the grass family, Poaceae, which is one of the biggest plant families and super common down in southeastern Arizona and at some of the mid-elevations around Tucson. For a lot of grasses, we just do hand stripping, which means you just take it at its stem and then you pull upwards over the inflorescence. And whatever comes off, hopefully, is seed. This is from last year, so there's not going to be much seed in it. But usually, if you can grind it up, you should usually get a couple little dark dots in there, which are seeds. This is a great method for collecting grass seed. We call this hand stripping. Finally, I just want to note that there are some species that you can harvest and the seed will continue to ripen. That's not very common. Usually if you harvest the seed too early and it's not ripe enough, then it will not continue to ripen and it's lost seed. However, there are some species, usually asters, that you can harvest. You can harvest their entire seed heads, and while the seeds are still encased in the seed head, they will continue to ripen. And this can be helpful for certain seeds that have very, very fluffy pappus that fly off in the wind, like thistles. So this is Cirsium neomexicanum, New Mexico thistle, really beautiful. And here it is still in full flower, but here and here and here, you can tell that they're starting to be done. They're closing up, they're starting to dry off and get kind of brown on the ends there, and they're ready to be harvested. So what you would do then is you would harvest the entire seed head with a snip, like so. And then you can do this one too. And then you would take your seed heads back to your house inside, lay them out, let them dry, and over the next few weeks they will fluff out and really, really dry out. And then you can stomp on the seed heads to release the seeds, which are really down in there. And then you can sift out the seeds. And this is an excellent technique for a lot of different asters.